I'm Airman Basic Gould, hopefully A1C here soon. I enlisted October 13th of 2019 or 2020. Right now I'm at tech school. We're looking to graduate here soon, and then I'll be going to Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. That's pretty cool. Something there.
No, I'm HVAC. I'm
Oh,
3
okay,
Echo,
yeah, that's
1
right.
X1.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. All right, so introduction for myself. I'm a retired Master Sergeant Air Force, and I'm currently doing a junior ROTC, and I've been doing that since 2016. And for me, being an instructor, I interact with high school students a lot, and I do get questions a lot about the military, uh, Marines, Air Force, Army, but I want to be able to do collaborations with young airmen like yourself, because again, it's been a long time since I've been in the Air Force, and I want to get a new perspective from airmen like yourself, soon to be Airman First Class.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, are you getting it because you've been in 6 months already, or coming
Yes,
up
sir.
to
It'll
6
be
months?
my 6 months, April 13th.
Okay, cool. So when do you get to put on April 1st or the following month? Or do you put it on actual April 13th?
It should be actual April 13th.
Okay.
But I'll probably have to wait to verify to make sure that goes through, because I would hate to put it on and then somebody asks to see my information and it says Airman Basic.
Oh, okay. Wow, Airman First Class. Did you take ROTC or any type of college courses or anything like that to get rank up or anything?
I did not.
Okay.
Now, what the Air Force offers for 6-year active duty contracts is the advanced rank up system, however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas normally, if you signed a 4-year active contract, you would go from Airman Basic to Airman in just your 6 months. But because I'm a 6-year active contract, I go from Airman to A1C in 6 months.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I didn't do a 6-year contract when I joined. I just did 4 years. Again, because I was still unsure if I was going to stay in the Air Force. So I just did a 4-year contract. I kind of wish I did a 6-year contract, because, I stayed in the whole 20. So, But yeah, I had a fun time in the Air Force. All right. So now let's talk about your job. You're doing HVAC. Is that something that you've always wanted to do, or it was just given to you?
I wouldn't say that was something that I've always wanted to do. It was number one on my dream sheet. But after talking to my recruiter and then taking my ASVAB scores, it kind of ended up being this would be the best option for me. And I wanted to find something that would transfer out to the civilian world as well.
Do you plan on doing more than a 6-year contract in the Air Force?
Part of the reason I chose a 6-year contract is because if I ended up finishing the 6 and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be, I could throw on a 4 and that'll get me to my 10-year mark, where GI Bill starts to be transferable for the MGIB.
Yeah.
So really what it came down to is, if I finished the 6 and I wanted another one, what would be my best options? And so finishing the 4 and signing a 6 seemed like a scary thing to me. So I ended up signing the 6. That way, if I wanted to do a little bit longer, I could sign a 4 and hit that 10-year mark right on the nose.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the magic number of 10 years is like, that's at the point where people would say, all right, do I get out or do I stay in? Because these the first, the 10 years, it went by quick. For instance, for myself, I was debating whether to get out at 10 years when I was stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, and I almost got out, but luckily I stayed in. And again, like I said, 10 years just went by quick, and here I am now, retired. So pretty good.
Yes, sir. My dad, he did 20 years on the nose. He retired as a master sergeant, and he said the first 10 years is going to go by at like the snap of fingers. What a lot of people will struggle with is at that 10-year mark, I'm already at 10 years. Should I sign a 4? And then once you get to 14, you might as well stay in for the rest if you want that retirement.
That's how we get trapped.
Yeah. It makes no sense to do 16 years if you're not going to get the retirement.
Oh, yeah. And, it's crazy. Within my 20-year career, I've known some friends of mine that got out at 15, at 15 years, and at 14 years, I'm like, wow. I mean, you only have just a few more years left, and you would have been retired from the Air Force. But I guess it was just a decision that they had to make because of personal reasons and all that. But yeah, it was pretty close. All right. So before you went to basic training, where were you living in?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
Right next to Charleston Air Force Base.
Okay. So do you consider South Carolina your home then, or?
Yes, sir. It's definitely my home.
Okay.
We PCS there in 2012, and that's where he ended up retiring from, and he stayed there long term, and that's where he plans on staying for, as far as I know, the rest of his time. And at some point, I'll definitely try to get back there.
Okay. So my next question to you, I know you pretty much grew up Air Force lifestyle, but there are other people that I've known that chose the different branch of service. Why did you choose the Air Force?
For me, it really came down to, I'm not going to say that growing up in it didn't play a big role in it, because it did. But to me, I would say personally, Air Force offered more what I was looking for. Because along the lines of with the Navy and Marines, you don't really pick one career field. You pick infantry, and then you get another career field. You get a secondary. Just like Marines are always riflemen that can be trained to do other things. Same thing with the Army. Air Force really puts the career field first. I'm not going to say like we aren't trained rifle-wise, but it's not the same as the Marines and the Army. And what I was really looking for was a career path that I could make a future for if I ended up getting out in 6 years, or if I got out in 20 years. I'll definitely have something good to set myself up with down the road.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. That's a good point that you brought that up, because like you said, the Army, they had those secondary jobs, like infantry. The Navy, they have that secondary job of being firefighters. So again, that's a good point that you brought that up. Because with us as airmen, we are focused more on the jobs that we are assigned. But once you're in the Air Force, you do get additional duties, which will look good on your resume and your EPRs, because you get to branch off with learning other skills. And, whether it be like security manager or government purchase card holder, purchasing things for the unit. So these are experiences that you can definitely, gain from by having these additional duties. How was boot camp experience for you?
For me, BMT, I would say overall I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it was like a summer camp per se, but I think the experience itself was really cool. Because I think a lot of young airmen like me that are about to go, they go on YouTube and they look up Air Force BMT, what's it like, how is it? And then you get there and you see all these places like, oh, I saw that on YouTube, oh, I saw that on YouTube. And I think that it really did change, I would say change me for the better, because now from the BMT experience, I gained a whole lot of new skills and leadership roles, stuff like that. At the end of BMT, it was kind of like, it was a weight off my chest. Like, oh, I'm not going to get yelled at like that anymore. And I get to tech school and you get yelled at some more. But I would say overall, BMT is a really good experience.
Lucky for you guys now with having this technology and YouTube, you guys can actually, do your research and gain other airmen's perspective of who graduated boot camp. When I went in 1996, I went in blindly. I didn't have any YouTube videos to research, and I pretty much went to boot camp blindly, not knowing what to expect. So it's a good thing for you guys that you have this platform, because it definitely kind of lessens the stress or anxiety for you guys, because you've seen how boot camp, basic trainings work.
Yes, sir.
You've heard other people's perspective, and that's good stuff.
And awesome. along with that, a lot of graduates, they get out of BMT and they make videos. This is how you're supposed to roll your socks when you get there, how you're supposed to roll your shirts, how you display your uniforms. So I already kind of had a lot of that in the back of my mind. Okay, so this is how I'm supposed to do it. I've already seen this. I've been pre-exposed to it. So when I got there, it didn't feel like everything was getting crammed into my head at once. I already kind of had a general idea of how I was supposed to do things. And I think that really helps a lot of young airmen, a lot of young trainees when they get there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, did you have a hard time marching and doing all the facing movements when you got to boot camp? Did you do any research on how to do all that stuff before you went in?
I did a little bit of research. There's not a whole lot out there because everywhere you go, different ROTCs and stuff, I think, do them a little bit differently. Just like the marching troop that we have here, the Black Ropes, at tech school, all their facing movements, they do their facing movements a little bit different because it's a lot closer to the honor guard type facing movements. From what I understand, is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the MTIs at BMT, they're going to be hard on every trainee, but they're also there to teach you and help you get through. So I think they did a really good job of explaining it. I didn't have too much trouble. I knew some people that they had to stand up in the dorms at night. They practiced their facing movements. They walked up and down the hallway, practicing their marching and their cadence and stuff like that. I would say overall, it's not too bad if you're pre-exposed to it, much like a lot of the other stuff at BMT.
Yeah. Now, do you think that having tutorial videos on how to do that stuff will help airmen before going to boot camp? Or do like recruiters help you guys out before you ship out? I mean, can you explain any experience that you've done?
My recruiter, he kind of gave me a picture of what to expect. He didn't teach me anything really. It was kind of like, hey, it might be a good idea if you go look this up and how to do this, and this is what they're going to have you do, so you might want to look into it. And then I went home, I watched some videos on facing movements and stuff like that. If you do it for like 30 minutes, and you can get it locked down in the back of your head, you'll be pretty solid going to BMT. But really, it will always be different until you're there, in your uniform, in your boots, having your cadence called out by your training instructor. And then once you get there and you get used to it, probably about, I would say 3 weeks in, it's almost automatic. You have all the movements, you hear the calls, and it's almost automatic.
Okay. Now, when you were in boot camp, did you have any recruits that were junior ROTC or had experience already?
Yeah, we had a few. A lot of those guys, they came out of BMT already with A1C, and a lot of them will make senior airmen, I think, in the next year. Whereas I'll put it on in April and then I'll get it another year. But a lot of them, we had our guide on bearer who led the flight. He did ROTC at his high school. So he already knew how to hold the staff and how to hold the flag and how to do the percent arms with the flag and whatnot. So I think that helped. Doing ROTC helped a lot of people there.
Now, do you think airmen, do they get called on by the MTIs, or do they put more pressure on those people that's got ROTC experience? I
would say hold that knowledge in the back of your head, but on the first day, if you go up to your MTI and say, hey, I did ROTC, I know how to march, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna put you in front of the march or in front of the flight. You teach them, and 5 minutes in, you feel a little frazzled. That's what they did with our ROTC guy. And then they just moved him to guide on bearer. But that's how a lot of it is. If you go in there and it's like, hey, I know how to do this already, your MTI will be like, oh, really? Then show me. Okay. They'll put you on the hot seat in a matter of seconds.
All right, that's a good tip. Definitely hold that knowledge. Observe the environment first to see how everything goes, and then start putting a little bit of your military knowledge out there and say, hey, I know how to do this, let me help you out. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely observe how things are going first before, you know, telling your MTI and say, hey, I know how to do this, because you know what, unfortunately, because like I said, I've been doing ROTC since 2016, and I've visited other high schools, and you know, I've seen what other cadets have done, and I'm like, why are you doing it that way? Why are you marching this way? And it's like, well, this
Mm-hmm.
is how we were taught. And unfortunately, when you have like retired Air Force members that, you know, they haven't done marching in a very long time, they kind of like teach them some old ways of doing things, and that knowledge get transferred to other cadets, and it just continues on, and then they've been
Mm-hmm.
doing it wrong for all this time. So definitely, if you do have that knowledge of ROTC, kind of hold on to it for a little bit and just
Mm-hmm.
observe how things are. If whatever that you're doing and it's not matching what the MTI is telling you guys, then there's something wrong. You're probably
Mm-hmm.
doing it wrong all these years. So
Yeah.
definitely hold that knowledge, because you don't want to put yourself out there and then you try to teach something and you're teaching the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Are you excited about getting stationed at Ellsworth?
I am. It's definitely, I've never been to that part of the US. It'll be new to me. But doing a lot of research on it, the area around it, the base. I think it'll be a good place. I've heard a lot of good things about it. There's not a whole lot up there to do, but
Yeah,
that'll just give me time to focus on CCAS and
yeah.
other stuff like that.
Whatever base that you get, definitely enjoy it. You know, make the
Mm-hmm.
most of it. You know, obviously, I've never been to South Dakota, but I've heard stories that there's nothing out there, nothing to do. But again, you know, when you get stationed there, make the most of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
complete your CCAF, your associate's degree, and concentrate on that. Once you get that out of the way, go for promotion. You know, you can start studying for E5. You can
Mm-hmm.
go up for, I don't know, OTS if you plan on becoming an officer, you know, because you're completing your associate's degree and then you're on your way to your bachelor's degree. And then you can go for OTS. You know, that's something that you want to do later in life.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was told. Just like Sheppard Air Force Base here in Texas, there's not really a whole lot to do on base,
Yeah.
and we're not allowed off base because of COVID-19 and such. Um, and you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, this base sucks. Oh, there's nothing to do. I'm always bored." Um, and it's really, to me, it's been what you make of it. I've enjoyed it so far, but if you stay in your room probably 12 hours a day and you don't leave, then you're not really giving the base a fair shake, I think. And I think that's how Ellsworth would be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of national parks and stuff up there, and it's like that around every base,
Yeah.
no matter where you are in the country. If you're in your room for 12 hours a day and then you go to work, you come back, you're in your room. I don't really think that you can say, "Oh, this base sucked." I was like, you didn't really see the base, did you?
Yeah.
So you got to see the area, I think, before you can make a fair judgment of whatever base you're at.
Yeah. And something to look forward to when you get to your first duty station is, you know, obviously you're going to be a young airman. You're going to be in the dorms for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, unless if you have a family, unless you have a spouse or kids, then you will not be living in the dorms. You'll be living on base or off base. But in your case, you'll be living in the dorms. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
perfect opportunity for you to, you know, make friends, you know, go do things with people in the dorms. I'm sure the base will have um, special events or field trips for young airmen like yourself, you know, to take advantage of and to make the most of that base. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen some bases where they offer free skydiving lessons. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. Is that something that you ever want to do?
Oh,
Skydive?
that is definitely something that I want to do, and I think there's an abundance of that in North and South Dakota. So I'll
Yeah,
definitely try to find a place and do that.
yeah, definitely. So again, make the most of the base and just have fun. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just you know, don't, like I said, just don't stay in your dorm room, because your life, your time on that duty station will just take forever. you
Mm-hmm.
know you know what they say is like, when you're having fun, time flies, right? So
Mm-hmm.
get out there and have fun. If you really don't like that base and you want to move somewhere, do things, stay busy, because your time will go by quick. How's the tech school environment at, you said Sheppard, right?
Yes, sir.
How's the tech school environment there? I mean, like, give me your daily routine. Like, do you guys do PT in the mornings or in the afternoon, or what do you guys
Yes,
do?
sir. We just switched to daily PT because it's starting to warm up now in the afternoon. And then during the winter, we would normally do PT in the afternoon because it was so cold in the morning. But now my daily routine would probably consist of, I normally get up around 4 or so. And then we'll go to morning PT at 4:45. We'll do like, it's about an hour, give or take a couple minutes. Normally it'll be a 5K, or it'll be some kind of upper body and core circuit. That'll rotate the days between Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then after PT in the morning, we'll get out. We'll get an hour to come back to our room, shower, put on our OCPs, and then go eat. And we step off to go to the schoolhouse right at 6:30. And then we're there until 4:30, 4:45 in the afternoon. Then I'll get out of class, come back to my room, do whatever homework we have, study for whatever, and then I'll go eat, and then just carry on, spend the rest of the day doing what I want to do.
So that's awesome that you guys get to do PT. And now, do you guys do PT individually or as a training class, or do you need to march to your schoolhouse? I mean, how does that go for you guys?
PT wise, we do it at the schoolhouse, so it's divided by career fields.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be HVAC PT, and then Power Pro PT or electrical PT. They'll kind of be in their separate areas, doing whatever their instructors assigned for that day. And then when we leave for the schoolhouse after eating breakfast, we march as classes. And then in the afternoon when we come back, we march. Starting next week, we'll march as a super flight. So it'll be the entire schoolhouse, all career fields, in one giant flight, being marched back by instructors and green ropes.
Yeah, I talked about ropes, black rope and green rope. Now, are these like technical students, technical students, or what are they?
The ropes that tech school students can get are, they go from white rope to teal rope to black rope. And those are kind of your 3 helper ropes. Your teal rope is for like mental health. Your white rope is your chaplain assistant. So if you have any questions about the chaplain, and they help with services and stuff like that. And then black rope, they do marching. So it's like every Saturday, and then I think Wednesday and Thursday they do practices on the PT pad, on the drill pad. They'll march whoever signed up to do that. And then your administrative ropes per se are green, yellow, and then red in that order. So they have more, they serve more as an administrative role. They're still tech school students, but they have a little bit more responsibility placed on their shoulders by MTLs and instructors. They brief classes and they'll brief the schoolhouse. And they kind of keep everybody in line a little bit. That's really what they serve. Okay.
Now, in order to be one of those ropes, do they get selected, voluntold? Do they apply for it? How does that work?
Well, black, teal, and white, your 3 bottom ropes, they're completely voluntary. And there's still an application process for those ropes. And then when you go green rope, that's your first level of your administrative ropes. That has a very lengthy application process from what I know. You have meetings with your instructors, meetings with your MTLs. Really, it's almost like a long job interview. Because they're going to look at your report from basic training, because we get report cards from basic training, and they say this trainee was good at this trainee showed these skills, stuff like that. And then yellow rope and red rope, you can't volunteer for those are only after you've been a green rope for a certain amount of time, you will be selected for yellow rope, and I think there's normally 2 yellow ropes in the squadron, and then red rope is your highest up rope. There's only one red rope in the entire squadron, and he is picked by MTLs and instructors as the most outstanding yellow rope, and that's who really the student section would run the squadron.
Sounds very interesting. I think I was a white rope in boot camp for the chaplain. So that was the only rope that I ever applied for or volunteered for. As far as a tech school, I wasn't any of that. I just mainly focused on the academics, and I let me just graduate this and move on.
They'll say a lot at BMTs, when you get to tech school, your only job is to know your job, learn it, and get out of here. Because it's kind of like college to an extent, except you're being paid to learn. So why would you not want to do it to the best of your abilities? And the rope programs do offer a lot for airmen, like teal and white ropes. I don't remember what the hours are, but if after you do a certain amount of hours for volunteer, you can get your volunteer badge. And that looks really good on your EPRs, especially when you go to your next base. Your commander is going to see like, wow, this airman volunteered with the chaplain for 175 hours in 3 months, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. For new airmen that's graduated boot camp and attending tech school, definitely you want to focus on your academics. But if you can handle getting additional duties like that and having those great ratings or great observations from your MTLs, and it goes on your EPR, you're definitely already starting your competitions for promotion, because you're going to be outstanding. Your EPR is going to be outstanding, and when it comes down to getting that next stripe, they're going to look at your overall EPR. And for those that don't know, EPR stands for Enlisted Performance Report. So these are things that are permanent records on your work-related performance throughout your Air Force career. And you can definitely use that, to translate all that stuff into civilian resumes. So when you are applying for civilian jobs, you can definitely translate your EPRs to create your resume. That's what I've done with all my EPRs. I just, put in all those statistics, those things that my supervisor wrote on me, and I translated all that into the resume, and it's going to look great on you. And all to the future airmen out there. Now, with a tech school, do you have other people that's been in the Air Force already and just cross-trained into HVAC?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
A lot of those are TDYs in our classes and in our schoolhouse. A lot of them are sergeants or senior airmen, because you have to be, I think, a 5 level before you can cross-train. So a lot of them are already senior airmen or staff sergeants, and then they don't stay in the dorms, and they don't really move around base in the same areas that we do. They stay with the permanent party, because they kind of keep those airmen in training separated from TDYs, and they live in the permanent party part of the base. But a lot of them, they'll just sit in class with us like regular students. And they bring a lot of knowledge to the classroom, because a lot of questions that you might have about the Air Force, you can just turn next to you and they have the answers for right there.
Yeah, because they've already lived through it, so that's good. Because I'm sure you're going to be putting out more videos out there about tech school, right?
Yes, sir. I'll be putting out more once I probably graduate from here, kind of give my look back on tech school, and then this is what it's like when you PCS your first base, stuff like that. Stuff for airmen to maybe look at and be like, okay, this makes a little more sense now.
And again, with all these type of information that's being put out there from military YouTubers, it definitely gives them less anxiety about things, because they've already know what to kind of expect. once they get to boot camp or tech school. So this is good information. Now, I always like to ask this question: how's the DFAC at Sheppard?
It's good. It's deducted out of my paycheck, my quote unquote BAS.
Yeah,
it's just automatically deducted to pay for the DFAC. So I look at it as, why not eat there? It's already paid for.
yeah.
It's definitely better than BMT, but it's not a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's some DFACs at these bases. It's just not good quality DFAC. I'm like, wow. Do you eat there for breakfast all the time, or?
Yes, sir. It's there every single morning.
Okay. Do you do the omelets?
I do not do the omelets.
Okay.
Those take a little bit for them to make, and we don't have a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Definitely have more time to eat than BMT, but I don't normally get the omelets. That way I can step off in time to go to class.
Okay, cool. Graduate tech school, then move on to your next base, your first duty station, Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. Once you get there, you're going to have sponsors assigned to you. They're going to show you around, be, checking into your dormitory and getting all your household goods and be able to wear regular clothes again, and just
Really
have the
nice.
freedom to drive. Because I'm sure you don't have a car out there, right?
I do not.
Yeah, so you'll have the freedom to drive again, because that was like the best thing ever. It was being able to drive a car. That was the best thing.
I definitely look forward to making more of these videos, because I think a lot of people can benefit from it.
Oh yeah, because everybody's got different perspective or different experiences. So we definitely want to provide that knowledge to people out there that decides or thinking about joining the Air Force or joining your career field. So definitely want to provide that information out there. All right. Other than that, this is great. We'll have to set up another Zoom in the future, and until then, you have school tomorrow, so good luck at that and enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy this weekend. All right.
I will.
All right. See you later.
Woo!